Um, okay, let's start off with questions then.
Yeah,
Anybody has any?
today
Yeah.
today it looks like a red day, red everywhere. I just wanted to ask you one question, Jaya. Like in this week, in the Discord, like several times we have talked about the offering, right?
Yeah.
So, what can you please talk us little detail about like what is like offering, and is it like a good thing, or a bad thing? So, when should we be worried about these offerings?
So, an offering is when it can be two things. It can be sort of a public offering
Mm,
where the company just puts it out for like retail investors to buy, or
mm.
it can be a private placement to a particular investor. And generally, offerings sink the stock price. And
Okay.
so, I mean, it's always like sometimes private placements are not so bad,
Mm,
but the way a lot of companies raise cash is that they might have some minor like PR coming, like some minor good news.
mm,
So they wait for the stock price to like increase because of that. And on that day, they will release an offering, sometimes in the evening, just as like markets closing. And that's the worst because the stock might have risen and people might be like holding it off overnight, and
mm,
then pretty sometimes it's just as like the market closes, they put out like the news that they're doing an offering, and then when people wake up the next day, the stock price has like tanked overnight. And so
mm,
which is why when I day trade, I try not to hold penny stocks overnight.
Okay, okay, got it. Okay. And also like there is one news, I think it is regarding mist or derma. Um I saw like they are going to give all its investors like a $0.8 offerings. So it is like they are going to release their stocks for purchase for that price.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So I mean, and I think it was Derma.
Mm,
And Mist, of course, yeah, it's we're gonna have to wait for them to resubmit their application after addressing the FDA's concerns.
Yeah, I'm holding my mist
Yeah,
still.
which is why I didn't want to hold too much, which is why I was like, no more than 50 shares, because this can happen. The
Yeah.
worst case scenario is obviously, I mean, obviously the worst case scenario in something like this when you're playing for like an FDA for an FDA approval, the worst case scenario is straight out rejection. The
Mm,
second worst case scenario is I guess people coming back with that letter saying that they
mm,
need to provide more information, but here they have like concerns about clinical safety. So those, I mean, clinical safety questions obviously are going to be a lot harder for the company to answer. And what happened with Mist was like the least worst case scenario where they just had some minor concerns about
mm-hmm.
manufacturing that seem fairly
Yeah.
easy to address.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. I did add another small lot this morning for a lesser price. So
yeah, you
let's
can
see.
average down, and that's
Yeah.
really a game of strategy. Right now,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to fall, it's going to fall, it's going to fall. And at some point, we don't, I mean, and then if you average down, when they resubmit, the price will go up. So you can try to take profit then,
Mm-hmm.
or wait when I mean, and at this point with Mist, I think it's possible that approval will come through. But again, it's not like a done deal. It's not something anyone should
Correct.
bet on with
Mm-hmm.
tens of thousands of shares, as we've seen people do.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Um, okay.
Since we are on topic of these stocks about medical products, the Huma site or the Huma stock
Yeah.
which got like a little bit reassuring news from the CEO posting that article. It's still probably because the way the market is today is not gaining much, right?
Yeah. And humor is a very long game, honestly, because you think of it, they've got a pretty interesting product that's been FDA approved, but
Hmm,
um, and they've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline, but this journey to actual profitability and sales from Simvest is a long one.
yeah.
And humor is also in trouble because it's been aggressively targeted for shorting
Hmm,
by people like Martin Shkreli, who's like the king of like shorting biotech stocks. And he's targeted this company for a while. So
hmm,
even when the FDA news came out, they used every angle they could to
hmm,
push it down, which is
right.
unusual for like an FDA approval. You usually see stocks go up, but when like an FDA approval comes in and you see so much short interest for a stock,
Hmm.
it's something to like keep in mind.
Can you
Oh yeah.
like walk me through or us through that short information? You said Market Watch is the place to look for it, but
Yeah, hold
what
on.
am
Let me
I like
just.
paying attention to? There's some
Mhm.
range, right, of so many free float, and this percentage, like 20% has to be shorted of that.
Hold on a second. Let me.
Because I feel there are quite a few stocks that I have are all not rising because of this short
Interesting.
position.
No,
Yeah.
no, I mean, and it's like it's a good thing to keep a march on, a watch on.
Hmm.
Okay, let's do Yuma market watch.
Hmm.
And okay, so what you're looking for is percentage of float shorted. And I mean, like anything at like 25 and 30 is high. Even 18 is like high.
Hmm.
Um, so float is the amount is like the total share float, like the
Yeah.
total shares that are like floating around available for purchase, whatever.
Hmm.
And so 25% of the float is shorted. Like a low float shorting would be like about 1%
Hmm.
of the float being shorted. Um,
But the number of float shares is also there's like a sweet spot for how many free float sh- should be there.
yeah, so generally when you're looking at, especially for day trading,
Yeah.
and especially for day trading penny stocks, these traders love. They love low float stocks because when there's like only a few like shares, like I think 10 to 20 million is considered low float.
Hmm.
Um, and I guess 10 million even better than 20.
Hmm.
So with when you have like a low float short stock, the potential for volatility is huge, like
Hmm.
huge potential for volatility. And you're looking for that potential for volatility because you're looking for something that will make the price jump like crazy. Whereas if it's a huge float stock,
Hmm.
these people go like, even like a big float stock with like good news, they're less likely inclined to touch it
Hmm.
because the price action may not be that insane with increases. And
Hmm.
generally, I mean, we've seen stocks like, for example, I think OCEA was something that someone played. It jumped up on like news and then it started falling and go like, hey, maybe this is a good dip opportunity. Then it just diluted and diluted and diluted down. So it just like sank endlessly.
Hmm.
And that is referred to as a float dilution. And when you see that, you just jump the heck out
Hmm.
because it's yeah, it can go on to infinity.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we never know when's that bottom hitting. And as you
Which
had
is,
said that at one point you are sitting in so much of red that you kind of stop taking
I
in
mean,
more shares at that bottom point.
yeah, I think the problem, and I've always like come into my biggest losses when I just didn't accept a small loss.
Right.
And you
Mhm.
learn to like accept a small loss to avoid a much bigger loss. And
Right.
this is something that it's a hard thing to swallow. And even now, I'm not terribly good at, I mean, for example, for Mist right now, I could take the loss and like move on, but instead I'm hanging in there because I see good strategies ahead. So it does not make sense to swallow the loss.
Hmm.
So
That's true. I have a lot of stocks like that, so I should have like let go with the lesser loss, but I was like hanging on to them for a longer term, hoping that it will raise one day. But then it, I terribly lost a lot of things. But these are the things that we are learning. At least I'm learning from your chat and everything, Jaya.
yeah, and I mean it's something that I learned the hard way too.
Yeah.
And there are some times that I just hang on because I see good potential for recovery. For example, for something like Huma, I'm actually sitting on a big loss right now in
Mm-hmm.
from my buy and hold account. But I see the potential for recovery in a few years. But that's the thing when you buy at the top of the market. For example, I bought like Zoom and Moderna at the very, very top of the market. And so go, when you buy at the top, there's very little chance for recovery to those crazy highs. But when you buy close to the bottom, because even when FDA approval news came for Huma the first time, it was sort of close to the bottom. It was like, I think fours or fives.
Hmm.
And since then it is sort of like, and now it's hitting new 52-week lows now. So,
Yes.
and that, I mean, and that of course is because of the New York Times article, and they also did an offering to raise price. So these two things together are just like obliterated the stock. But at this point, when you look at the big picture, there's a potential. You might have to wait for a really long time to see
Right.
that potential realized, but it's better. It's something that you can maybe try to take a risk on if you believe in the company. Of course, there are people who believe in these biotechs to like a ridiculous degree. I've seen people buying 20,000, 30,000 shares. I mean, I'm just buying like 100, 200 at like really low prices and calling it a day.
Right. And yeah, you can see from that news that their price target has been lowered or upped or something. So that also kind of keeps people interested to
Yeah, and you just sort of like
hope
look
for the
at you
best.
really have to look at a company and see, which is why I
Mm.
keep telling people to like really spend a lot of time watching the Stockwits chat because what you gain from there, you can't gain from anywhere else. They're just people who just obsess over every aspect of the company.
Mhm.
So Stockwits threads or Reddit threads for a company are like the best place to really get all the dirt that you can get on it.
Right.
Okay.
Jaya, I also have a question if the other person is done.
Yeah.
So, to let you know, I just joined this meeting late, and also I'm not on top of your Discord channel as well because I am in PST,
Mhm.
and by the time I wake up and my kids go school, most of the things have already happened.
Mhm.
So, have you ever looked at sundial, SNDL?
No,
No.
no.
Okay, I'm sitting at a huge loss on Sundial. I made quite a good profit with Sundial almost 3 years back, and
Yeah.
then I bought a good chunk, and then there was a reverse split. It was when cannabis became legal in few states. It was rising, and I bought it, and I still see some potential in Sundial because I still see that cannabis is something which US might make legal in other states as well.
Yeah, you
But
just
it's a,
have to hope that the company doesn't go out of business.
I'm sorry.
Wait. You just have to hope that the stock doesn't go so low that it delists.
Yes, I mean I'm actually sitting at a huge loss, what we call huge.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's the danger. Like if like a company's stock gets so low that it flouts NASDAQ compliance, then
Mhm.
NASDAQ can give them like a delisting notice. And at that point, you just lose every bit of money that you invested in it.
So when I bought, it was a penny stock. I bought something at 0.23, 0.27, I mean something like that. Then that got reverse split and it became $7 per share.
Yeah, I would
So
definitely would not. I mean, if you've got like just a little bit left and it doesn't really add too much to the pain, if you just lose whatever you have left in it on top of
mhm.
your existing loss, then I just wait. But if
Okay.
what you have is still painful, I mean, it would be still
Mhm.
painful to lose whatever you have left in it,
Mhm.
then I would maybe think about selling. But again, you never know. I mean, often when you dump a stock, it can like,
It raises.
yeah, it just feels like the universe is working against you, but I don't know.
So it happens with everybody. I thought it was only me.
No,
So I had
No,
everybody is in that.
INTC. I had
you
INTC sitting in my portfolio for a long time. It started rising. So I waited for one day, it got down. So finally I put it at like 130, 125, something like that. I sold everything. The moment it got sold, it went to 140. So I thought,
So, Jaya, if I may add, for Seema, for Sundial
yes,
specifically,
please.
so I got this tip for Sundial back in the COVID time, and
Mm-hmm.
my friend told me like Sundial is going to run, and he knows the group of friends who are behind Sundial, and that's how I got into it. And to your point, it went up to almost $6-7, and I was
Mm-hmm.
one of those unfortunate ones who purchased it before it they kind of
Reverse split.
merged the shares. Yeah, they reversed the shares.
Mm-hmm.
So I DCA'd it, to bring my cost up to 3. And when it went up little above 3, I just got out of it because I was holding thousands of shares, and I was like, I just cannot deal with the stock anymore, because it was like coming down. It was not really progressive. And
Mm-hmm.
now, given the current administration, I just did some research. I was like, it doesn't make sense to hold the stock for another 2 3 years. So I booked a very tiny loss after, because I have been observing that stock for almost 5 years. And
Mm-hmm.
when I got a chance to average, averaged it, and then I waited for another year. And as soon as I got my value, I just got out. So, I don't know, like, I don't feel good about this particular stock, but others can pitch in if,
I
they
mean,
have.
most
Okay.
penny stocks are trash. I mean,
Yeah.
and there are about 1 million companies in the market, and getting invested in a penny and hoping that it will do well is about like the most, it's something that you don't want to spend even your mental effort on.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. I'm sitting at 7,000 loss, I mean, it's huge.
We've taken
I know. Yeah.
happens. I mean, like at the end of the day, I mean, like I took a $4,000 loss with Holo after having a $3,000 gain day trading it. And so when I just like stuck to day trading, I would have come out really good. But then when I tried to swing trade it, that's when I got murdered. Because again, that's not a stock that should have ever been swung trade, but you take the loss. And at the end of the day, if you have gains, the losses at least help to like reduce the tax that you have to pay on them. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, right. Hmm.
And it would be wonderful if they ever changed the tax code to take more than a 3,000. I mean, right now, as the thing stands, I don't know if it's 3,000 or a little bit more than that, but you can only write off that much per year against your ordinary income. So if that limit increases, that would be a tax change that everybody would be super happy about, but I don't know if they're going to put it in. And then really like the 3,000 or the whatever is not adjusted for inflation, so they should really adjust it. I don't know if they're going to do it.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I need to take the insight for all wonderful ladies here. As I mentioned, I'm in PhD. I really, really want to learn this. I'm not from finance background. I'm a software engineer. So I'm trying to, but by 7 o'clock, by the time my kids go to school, everything is kind of done on Discord. It's like 50 messages for me to catch up, which gets difficult. So please give me some tips on how can I prepare myself to be on this.
Honestly, like
Mhm.
day trading opportunities are nice, but in this market, they come along less. I mean, like on a day where the market's this scared,
Uh-huh.
most PRs that might cause a day trade run will also can also fizzle and fail. So in like a very bear market, and I truly believe that we are heading into and probably will stay in a bear market for the foreseeable future. And it's going to get, I mean, it's a time of such uncertainty, I can't even say. But in su in such a situation, day trading is harder. I mean, like I said, the UVIX, SVIX, seesaw is a great way to make money with such ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as you get into a bear market on the UVIX, SVIX, seesaw, I will say that now I'm like, if uncertainty goes crazy, crazy, crazy high and SVIX gets pushed down super low, I would, we've never been in a situation where SVIX has had to do a reverse split. UVIX, for example, has done multiple reverse splits. It usually tends to go down and decay, where SVIX does not. It usually tends to go up in time. Now I am a little concerned that SVIX could get really, really low. Right now it's at like 20. I am scared that it might get really, really low in a market, a huge market crash, but maybe it won't come to that. But that is my fear. But I'm right now in a bull market where everything is going up. UVIX is very frightening. In a bear market, which we're getting to, UVIX is less frightening. UVIX is the place of opportunity right now. So UVIX is definitely something for someone like you to try.
Okay.
Um, and the other thing for that you can try is just swings. I mean, like wait for a day where volatility and market fear is at its highest. And then you just have to like study. So you have to, one thing that someone like you can do is just study price action of like stocks that you like and then put in limit buys. So
Okay.
wait for it to like fall to like a super low point and then sell it when it recovers. So that's one easy way for someone who can't be up at like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. And even then, I mean, like we come across there are like stocks that, and again, it's like just monitoring what's going on and jumping on it. There have been things that have broken at 9 a.m. There have been things that are broken at like 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. There's a lot of after hours trading that's possible because a lot of news drops at 3 a.m. And I mean, like, and often, like, what is an after hours runner can also be a pre-market runner the next day, depending on the news. And we saw that with TNON, for example. So that's also opportunities. So, I mean, there are plenty of opportunities for someone who can't trade early in the morning.
Okay. I'll look into UX. I have not invested in UX or SVX. Honestly, UX and SVX, I was introduced to them in your session for the first time.
Yeah, and I mean,
So,
it takes a little guts to play them. And I mean, they're considered high risk, but it like a any situation like this, it's just where volatility is just swinging up and down with such uncertainty, they seem like the most logical play.
and you said that UX and SVX are opposite to each other. One rises with VIX and another one falls with VIX.
Yes.
So while one rises, another one falls, and vice versa.
Yeah, it's like a
So if we
seesaw.
have so if we have invested in both, we will always make profit. Is it?
Yes, if you like, that is one definitely one way to go, but it comes down to the numbers and when you buy. So if you buy SWIX when UWIX is at its peak, yes.
Mhm.
And vice versa. You buy SWIX, you get it. Just like
Yeah, I get it. I understand. Yeah.
so it's, and of course, don't go too heavy in either because you don't know how the heck it's going to go. At this point, you can make money off them, but given that they're so dangerous, not getting greedy with them is also an important thing.
So, can you suggest me a good number for a beginner? 50?
Depend.
25?
I mean, it depends on how much money you have in your account. Uh, I or available to you for trade. I mean, I can afford to buy like about in my day trade account. I can afford to buy over 1,000 UVIX, for example, at its current price. I'm not keeping my buy order bigger. I mean, I don't want to have like a position of more than 100 to 200 shares. And even that I'm building really slowly. And I'm happy to take small profits.
Okay. Understood. Yeah. So 100, 200 is the way to start, right? I
Depending
mean,
on how much you have in your account, that
again,
for
as you
everybody.
mentioned, it actually doesn't matter how much I can afford,
Mhm.
right? When I'm playing with something so volatile and it's like kind of dangerous, and I'm a beginner.
Yeah,
So
I
I
would
think,
just literally go with 10. And because UVIX is
okay.
so, I mean, UVIX is such a volatile entity that it
Mhm.
literally will go up like $3 or $4 or some in a day sometimes.
Okay.
So it jumps around a lot. So with that aspect, I mean, even with like a $10 position, if it goes up like $4, you made $40.
Yeah, right.
So
At least I can get myself familiar with it with smaller quantities, and once I start feeling a little confident, maybe I can go with more, right?
yeah, I
That's how
mean
you're
that's I mean,
suggesting.
and
Yeah.
UVIX and SVIX people, I strongly, I mean, I started day trading with like these, they're literally like dynamite. But I saw the opportunity in VIX as soon as I started day trading. And
Mm-hmm.
so I started playing this, and it's like literally the most dangerous game to play. I have made a lot of money with SWIX. I have not made that much money with UVIX because I always thought that, and especially last year, UVIX was a dangerous one to play because the market was still a bull market. It was going up all the time, and VIX was decaying. And in fact, UVIX did a reverse split, I think in February this year. So
So UVIX is directly proportional to VIX or inversely proportional to VIX?
directly.
Directly proportional. So if VIX go down, market is bull, VIX go down, UVIX goes down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. PG, I see that you raised your hand.
Yes, hi. So, Jaya, I am almost embarrassed to say what I'm going to say. So, I took a lot of notes when I took the classes, right? And I re-listened to the recording, but I am still stuck. Maybe I'm dyslexic. I have no idea what's going on, but I could not wrap my head around the technicalities part of it. For example, the Bollinger or the support level, or the stuff that you mentioned. And I'm like, so my challenge was like, I thought maybe listening into Discord and listening to you guys talk, I'll eventually learn what it means. Like, I was not able to understand that particular chapter or the part of the training. So how do I navigate around it? Like, I don't know what to do. I feel stuck.
So with Bollingers, I mean, it's easy.
The cylinder Bollinger, the support, like, you mentioned, like, we have to look at the support levels and we have to look at the cylinder, like, the up and the down. Like, I could not wrap my head around it at all. I tried listening into it multiple times, and मुझे बिल्कुल समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. Like, I don't know what to do.
Hold on a second. Yeah, I mean, it can be, hold on, let me turn on indicators here in this one. Let's see the indicators here. Oh, this is so annoying. Why is this not showing up? Yeah, okay. So yeah, this is the Bollingers. You need the move. You've got the moving averages in here. You're gonna And then you've got the, I think let's just keep it simple with this,
Okay.
with just these. There are more, of course, but so let's actually let's look at this zone. Do you
Okay.
see that? And it's hard to look at it in a day like today
Right.
because it's so okay. Let's go to a time where it was not so crazy. So this is a good stretch of time to look at it.
Okay.
And so like the Bollingers are supports. And like I've said in the class, the Bollingers define the zone of volatility for a stock. Do you understand what
Mhm.
volatility is for a stock? It's just how
I
much
get.
the price changes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, so here when the Bollingers are this tight, it's trading within the price is steady. It's trading within like a narrow window. And you can see
Mhm.
it comes down here, hits the lower Bollinger,
Mhm.
and this lower Bollinger offers support. Then it goes up here, and at this point, it hits the upper Bollinger, and that
Mhm.
offers resistance.
Mhm.
So that's it, like that.
Jaya,
Mhm.
sorry to interrupt. What exactly is a Bollinger? Is it the 52-week low price?
No, 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 no. Bollingers are just derived from the moving averages. And they're a mathematical model that I even bother to understand, but
Mm-hmm.
they just basically like are derived from moving averages. And honestly, I can't understand what moving averages or Bollingers are, but I don't bother. I just look at them as what they are. They offer support to a falling price and resistance to a rising price. That's it.
Okay.
That's all you need to know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And of course, when you keep switching between different time views, you can and you need to do and I've talked about this in the past, you need to do the switching between different time views to see where the supports are. So and looking at those time views, like and looking at especially like if you look at Fibonacci levels in the day view, that's a really good way to find supports that show what the price might be that it might fall to in a downturn. Obviously not a crazy downturn like this one. Like in today's situation where the entire market has gone red, everything is in a bit of free fall. And let's look at APLD, for example, because that one it broke a support today, I think. Uh, change the time view to 5 minutes. And see around here, what is this price? This was 615. It was holding the 615 support for quite a while. And then it broke that. At this point, it broke the 615 support. And when you're saying that it's holding the support, means that at this point, if it hits this point, it's not going to go any lower. That is the support. So like a support for a price is when it hits a particular price, it's probably not going to go any lower than that.
So, in simple terms, can we say that if a stock price hits the lower Bollinger, it goes on support, which means it cannot the price will of that stock will not go beyond that,
Unless it
will not
breaks the
go
support.
unless it breaks the Bollinger.
Yeah. And this is the point of lower Bollinger break where the price starts falling. And then lower Bollinger breaks or upper Bollinger breaks are when the price starts increasing or decreasing dramatically in a short period. And so it falls, 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 and then it hits like another support. So here it gets a little bit of a support, and then it falls again. And right now it's holding the 5.48, which is still close to the 6 line, which we've always considered like a strong line of support for APLD in the current situation. I mean, there could be something that could push it even like lower, but and for like a stock like APLD that so this is like market conditions pushing a stock down. Now, on top of market conditions, if like a stock gets really bad news, then it can break this and like it might fall from like 5.48, which is the support that's holding right now. And it might fall to like, I don't even know what the next we'd have to look at the Fibonacci levels on the debut to see. Uh,
Why is APLD falling? It didn't get its data center.
I mean, APLD is not rising a lot because it hasn't gotten its data center or it hasn't signed a lease. But
Right.
it's falling because everything's falling today.
Yeah.
It's like as simple as that. Hold on a second. Let me see. I mean, it gets a little crazy once you add like Fibonacci levels. My God, this thing has like so many indicators.
Jaya, you are so technical. I mean,
I mean, I
it's
taught
very
myself
difficult.
all this. I mean, I literally taught myself all this. There was no, I didn't even watch a video. Um, well, wait. Okay, so here are the Fibonacci levels, and it gets crazy when you hold it. Okay, so let's go to the Fibonacci. This is the Fibonacci in the debut, and you can see that the lowest, oh wow, it's broken. It's broken the Fibonacci in the day level. Now, if you want to get this thing, then you go to the week level. And so you can see that the next big support is 4.82.
Mm.
So that's it. That's how you find the next support. Now it's at 5.64 or whatever. The next support level is 4.82.
But we don't have the valuation for APLD in that list, right?
I don't know, but it's easy to look up.
Right, right.
And I mean, and at these with these emerging company stocks, like with that are due for a breakout and their valuations are not as meaningful. Actually, in the market we work off of, valuations are, I mean, what do you know? I mean, everything's about like 30% off.
Mm-hmm.
Some are 50, but I mean, and if it's a new company and it's a new up and comer, then the market tends to be like very excited about its future prospects and it's not thinking of its current state. So, yeah.
Yeah, APLD, the intrinsic value is 9.72. So it's much,
Really?
it's a bargain.
It's undervalued right now.
Yeah.
I think that's also like considering how much cash it got. It got like
Mm.
a huge cash infusion.
Mm.
So I think that they're using that to calculate its value. Right now, it's not revenue generating yet. So I mean, like you can look at like a company's, and I haven't really gone technical on valuations, but you can look at a company's stock and in terms of how much cash it has on hand and then how much like revenue it's pulling in. APLD has zero revenue yet. It needs to sign that lease to get that revenue, to start generating it.
Right.
It needs to sign a tenant. So yeah.
Right now, I'm like concerned about BBAI. Basically, it
Yeah, I
has
mean, like
just,
with BBAI, I'm not happy with like
yeah,
their accounting mess, and
it's
that's what it came out
surrounded
of the
with,
blue for me. I was
yeah,
not expecting that.
it's surrounded with a lot of errors and contra.
I mean,
Even
like
though,
they didn't have like an earnings meeting, and I was like, "What the hell was that?" I've never seen a
yeah,
stock skip the earnings call.
probably that's why it's struggling.
Yeah, I don't know
Market,
what's going
the
on.
market is not happy that it's dodging the issue.
And when you look at like stock weights and you see everyone trying to scare people with BBAI, they're like, hey, this company is going to go bankrupt. And I'm like, is it? I don't know. I don't think
It
so.
feels like right now, seriously, I have not read any of those stock tweets, but the way it is struggling to like
I
get
mean, right
out of
now
that
everything is
feels
struggling. But I mean, this is the thing. You need to take the profit you see. I bought BBAI at 2.9 and I sold it
mm,
at 3.5 and I made a little bit of money.
right.
I mean, it wasn't like a crazy amount because I hadn't bought a crazy amount, but it was, you need to sock away whatever profits you can get as you get them. If you see green, take it.
But then if you have BBI at 5, 6, 7,
And
8,
then
when
you're just waiting. I mean,
you're
like,
just holding.
yeah. I mean, and especially if you're in a place like Webull that averages down, and
Mhm.
it just, whereas if you're on something like E-Trade, where you can sell stock lots, then you can have strategies like that.
Right. Yeah, I have to make that call because yeah, right now BBAI just seems a little doubtful.
Yeah, I mean, we never learn to sell when it's
Mm,
at a crazy profit because we go like, oh, it's going to go higher.
right, right. But these other like day trading thing that so that is based on the new like today's news. Even with today's news, some of the stocks did not literally rise. Like the what was that LX or something which you had mentioned in the
Yeah, it was
uh,
sort of it was decentish news. I think it was a cash getting cash rich PR,
uh-huh, uh-huh.
which usually the market likes. But
Right.
but again, there are many considerations. It's like they want good PR, they want low float, and they
Hmm.
need volumes coming in. And I think the that one had decent volumes, but it just couldn't take off in today's market
No,
because
it
of
got the
like,
licensing deal right from Novo Nordisk for $1
yeah,
billion, but just did not.
yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when the market's this fearful, a lot of
Uh-huh.
PRs are just not going to land the way
Right.
that you want them to. It's just like, so on days like this, yeah, I wouldn't day trade.
Because it is very tempting because the stock price was like right at that brink of where it could have gone up or down. But
At this
then,
point, we
yeah.
that news
Hmm.
dropped at 6:30. At
Right.
6:30, I was looking at mist. So I wouldn't even notice it. I noticed
Hmm.
it like at about 6:50, which is why I keep saying that we need Nantiobot in the Discord.
Hmm.
But it's like at the end of the day, that would literally come down. I need more subscribers to get that. So
Hmm.
that's like that's you have to like wait for a while to get it
Hmm.
there because it's about, I think with the number of people we have, it would be almost 150, 160 pounds per month.
Hmm.
So yeah. But yeah, and when we get Nantio bot in there giving those PR spikes, it's both useful and dangerous.
Right.
It's especially dangerous when you don't know what you're doing and you just like slap something by like, and slap something just means like pick up something just because you see news. A
Yeah.
lot of day trade plays are it just like pumps and then it immediately dumps.
Yeah. And mostly in those pre-market
Yeah.
sessions itself, it's
So
done.
when a pump starts, I'm always extremely afraid because you should be.
Yeah. So then you see the news and you are like, okay, this
But
seems
that's
to be
when
a
you get like the ability to like read the news and react really quickly. There are some pieces of news I'm like, yes, this is strong, I'm gonna buy.
Mhm.
But others, I'm like, I'm not so sure.
Right.
And that's where I also rely on, like, I look at volume levels, I look at how quickly volume is coming in, and then I look at what people like more experienced traders are doing.
Yeah,
So
but the
just
volume in the pre-market is not gonna be at that hundreds of millions at that point. So,
no, but I mean, like in you can literally get huge volumes pouring in really quickly with very
hmm,
strong news.
hmm.
I mean, it's not going to get to like the 300, 400
Yeah,
million level or the 1 million level, 1 billion level that PTP I had, which was completely insane. But I think like a good pre-market volume after 7 p.m. CST, I mean
hmm.
7 a.m. CST is about like 30 million.
Right. Okay.
And before that, I would say maybe like 5 million. I don't know. It's hard to, you can
Hmm.
always like look at the top gainers,
Yeah,
like most active on people to get an idea. But a lot of the time, the most active doesn't really, it's not plays that you'd want to jump into.
right. Yeah, for example, that LXRX, which got the licensing deal, was the most active. It did spike a little bit, but then now it is kind of back to where it is. But it's still green among the all reds. So
But I mean,
yeah,
only if you bought it like the price of yesterday.
yeah, correct.
So,
Okay. Mm.
I have a
Jay, one more.
question.
Sorry.
I have a question here regarding the penny stock. So I used to buy a big amount of stocks initially, but at this, I mean, someone asked this question like somebody was in a PST timing, right? I'm in EST, but after I took care of my kids and everything, I'll look around at the cards around like 7:30 a.m. But even at the time, I couldn't able to find good deals because it's already run up almost because I'm seeing a pattern from 4 to 7 a.m. Probably we may have some profit zone, but after that 7 to 9 EST, sometimes it's luck, and after 9 that it's purely depends on how strong is that. That is the
Right.
pattern that I am seeing. So even though I'm living in EST, it's very rare that I find some good deals to buy a stock. I mean, penny stock in a good price, meaning like it would have been already jumped like 30 or 40%. At the time, I'll be very hesitant. And since there were like losses before period, so I was just very hesitant to buy anything, and I'm just buying probably 50 or 100 quantity. That is the max that I am testing these days. But with that, the profit probably I may take like $10, $20, or $50, but the things that we are going through for even for that rise, it's immense. So when compared to that, UX trading, even the other stocks trading seems better. Even we can able to get the same amount of profit in this way. My question is, when you see a penny stock, mm, again, we have asked this question a number of times, like, but I'm still having that doubt because of the experiences that I am having. How much that you'll start with? Like, will you start with 100, for example? Even the TNON, it really went well, but I didn't buy
I
because
bought
of
100 shares. And I mean, for me, like 100 shares is piddly. I should have bought way more, but I wasn't sure if it was good enough.
Mhm. Exactly. And I didn't buy at all because I don't, since because of we had like past red days and all other things, I didn't buy at all.
That's the thing,
But
you don't know. And honestly,
exactly.
like FDA approval news is usually strong. And I was looking at like when I bought TNON, I was remembering another stock called
Mm-hmm.
VATE,
Mm-hmm.
that I skipped out on, and it
Mm-hmm.
ran a lot. And it
Okay.
ran delayed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so again, you don't want to go crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and you also don't want to I mean, which is why I didn't buy like hundreds of shares.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I missed that TNO, and so with the mist, I was little confident because of all the communications, and I I was like, I don't want to miss that other train. Again, as usual, whatever we touch, every planet, everything will align and do the reverse thing, whatever we trying to achieve. So yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I think Mist can still work out. It's just like a much longer.
Yeah, I mean,
And I mean, and the thing is, it's gonna tank now today. It's gonna tank. I don't know for how long. If they do an offering, it'll tank even more. To if they, I don't know if they need to raise cash or not. If so, if they do an offering to raise cash to address FDA concerns, it'll tank even more.
mm, mm,
And but looking at the FDA's concerns, I don't think they need to raise. I mean, because it looks pretty minor, but what do I know?
mm, mm.
So again, I don't even know how quickly they'll be like, they'll resubmit and they'll say, okay, like
They,
we have addressed FDA's concerns or blah blah blah. And when that PR comes, it's going to jump up.
Mm,
they
mm,
they can address that FDA concern with audit to their manufacturing facility and get it all fixed. But the problem is the FDA is being overhauled, right, with all the job cuts. So I don't know
exactly.
how long that.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know how I don't know if their process has had a delay yet. Again, I don't know. So yeah.
yeah, probably in between. It should not. We should not get any reverse split or those
Yeah.
things. Like that thing again, it'll add more pressure, right? So initially I had a habit of cutting my losses when it goes like a certain amount, but whenever I do that, that stock, the probably in a week it will just shoot up. So I'm trying to hold it, but for example, I was holding this VRPX. It had a PR, but it's still struggling in cart reverse split. When I see this penny stocks trading, I'm seeing, even though it's a small loss or a big loss, I'm seeing more losses than the profit. Profit became very rare. Instead of that, I feel like or confident more about the stocks which we know, like which we actually discuss, like APLD, BBAI. That swing seems probably little bit of higher positive
Yeah, I
than
mean,
what.
I generally think that swings are safer, which is why I try to stay out of most penny day trades because that's why I don't play anything other than the higher confidence plays. So I
Mm,
think everyone's challenge is really recognizing what is a higher confidence play.
mm, mm, mm,
And I mean, and that is just like getting familiar with like different types of PR. And it's tricky because not everything will bump the same way, but generally getting a huge cash infusion, generally, when a company feels confident enough to like buy back its own shares, when they're doing
mm,
a huge stock buyback, that the market takes as a positive thing. And then of course FDA approvals are pretty strong.
mm,
Um, so yeah, I mean it runs the gamut. And and you sort of have to like look and evaluate, and some of it is just an experience process.
Yeah, I mean, so far that's what I was taking it. And another question is, I'm using Robinhood, so but with Robinhood we don't have that extended market option, meaning like 4 to 7 o'clock. Uh,
Yeah, it's I mean, and most people in the Discord don't even, they're like, why are you on Robinhood? Go over to
yeah,
we.
I mean, only
Yes, we
Google
have
has
24 hours market on Robinhood.
well, not for every stocks, no.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, not for every stocks, and
And then the pre-market
especially
opens only at 7, which is
7. Yeah, pre-market only opens at 7, and where the window from 4 to 7, it's the most important window. That's what I'm seeing when you trade penny stocks,
yeah.
because
So
that will give the profit. And once it open to 7 a.m., it'll be a drop. We'll be seeing a drop. I'm just considering, like, because Webull is the only platform that I am seeing that will give 4 to 7 a.m. window, right?
yeah. And
So
the other one is in IKBR and
okay.
Nine Brokers. And IKBR I think is definitely the most robust because
Okay.
I mean it's really meant for people trading everywhere in the world. So that
Mm.
one's really the most robust. But I haven't used it. I've been thinking about getting. And sometimes you can see, like I believe you can see the night price for stocks that don't have the 24-hour option on Webull.
Okay.
And that's really useful to have like the night price when you're holding something overnight and you're stressing.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds good. Yeah, thank you. Oh, thank you, Jay.
Okay, if nobody else has any questions, I
I
think it's, yeah.
I have one more question, Jaya. And I think it's the most stupid question anybody can ask on this chat. So I want to take inputs from everybody on this chat for a beginner. I am a beginner for penny stocks. Other than Sundial, I have not traded any penny stocks, and I'm very passive trader. Like I buy something, I do not look at it for days, and once I start getting the news from somewhere, I don't even go and read the news. If I get the news from somewhere that this is rising, I go and sell it, and whatever profit it is, I'll just take that. Now only after Jaya's session, I'm getting a little bit aggressive about it, provided whatever time I have from my job and kids. So I look at the Discord chats and I get confused with a lot of stocks. Obviously, there are more um, experienced traders, so you talk about all sort of stocks. I have heard of TEM, APLD, BBAI most of the time. So can you tell me few stocks to start off with? I will add them to my watch list. I'll look at the price and then I'll decide. And maybe later on when I get comfortable with these, I'll add more to my portfolio or my watch list.
I really like them. I really like RKLB. I really Lunar is another thing, especially if it drops to the sixes or fives, it would be good. It had good earnings and I mean it's a responsible company, though their moon landing mistake definitely cost them. But they were also trying to do something really difficult.
Okay.
So yeah,
Mhm. So
so
BBAI, APLD,
I don't think,
RKLD.
I mean, BBAI, I don't feel is the safest option anymore.
Okay.
It's I think TEM is a safe, I mean, there's no such thing as 100% safe option. It just
Uh-huh.
doesn't exist. Um, I think that TEM seems a decent option to play, to swing trade. I think RKLB is also a decent option to swing trade. And otherwise, I mean, I think like if you just stick with these two stocks, right? I mean, APLD again, their fate really depends on the signing of their lease, and it's an unknown. You don't know when they're going to do it. BBI, yeah, how they're going to handle their finances, God knows. So yeah, I feel like TEM and RKLB are probably two good options, and maybe Lunar. I'm trying to find more to add to this list,
Okay.
like different sectors, and I haven't really found anything. Um, and obviously, we haven't touched on corrections, but when like the market falls to even this degree, the small caps have already corrected much more than the big caps. The big caps still have like a way to fall. Once the market corrects more, I'll be looking at more big caps, like I mean all your big players. I would love to get some Costco, but I would want to get it in the 800s starting down. I'd like to get some Meta. I'd like to get some. So it's so anyway,
And Jaya, what is the price generally for TEM? I mean, good price to buy for TEM? While you're telling me all this, maybe I can
Ten's
ask you.
intrinsic value is in the 30s actually. So that table that was
and also just like
shared.
look at the weekly chart. Look at the weekly chart, see how much it settled to in the last time UX really spiked. Look at how much it settled to. And I
41 or
think that would
42.
be, I don't even know. Hold on. Let's go to the day view. This is TEM. So I think the last thing was and again you just see this view and the data is right there for you. And it looks
You
like
should know how to read this data.
I mean it's just like
Because-
switching to the day view, that's it. And in the time this thing. So and it is like 31.
That was in January, yeah.
That was before Nancy P bought it, before her husband. And I
Hmm.
think this probably 46. So 46 was the oh no, actually here. 42.
Hmm.
And this is
Yeah,
probably when UX went to whatever, 50 something is when TEM came to 42.
right.
So there you have it.
So you said 42. So right now it's
47.
47. So we should buy it around 30s, between 30 to 40, or 40 plus we can still buy at 40 plus.
I mean, you can do anything you want, but it's like eh, there are no guarantees. So this is where you start thinking of strategies. So like when something is in its one thing is you just start averaging down. I already bought like about 10 shares of TEM at 51. Now I might buy another five, maybe another 10 shares around this range. Then I'll wait till it goes to like, and suppose I want to end up with like, say, 100 shares of TEM, then I'll wait for it to sink more and I might buy more like 43. Then, I mean, and this is where you need to like stick to the plan. often when you're already invested and then it starts falling a bit more, people freak out and stop buying. But as it goes deeper into the dip, you need to continue the plan and buy more. And this is what
Mm.
I talked about earlier in the Discord today, that I don't follow my own set plan.
That's why we have like 5 bags of BBAI.
I mean, no, and BBAI, I think our mistake was, I mean, we bought when and I was guilty of it too. I bought when it was high,
Yeah.
thinking that, hey, it's going to run up to like 9 again, but then instead it ran in the opposite direction. And this is where you realize you should never get greedy. And if you got greedy, cut.
Hmm.
Cut quickly, take the loss instead of sitting with a bigger loss. Again, these are lessons that people keep getting confronted with and they don't take it. Like, so you have to like do it. I don't know how many times we are faced with the lesson before we like learn it. But if we bought something when at a really high price, then just cut it, take a small loss instead of being backed down. And with a company like BBI, I was like, hey, it can recover. So which is why I didn't cut. I was like, okay, it can recover, just wait and average down. But now I'm like concerned with the accounting news. But again, you don't know. It might be
Yeah.
nothing and it might just do fine. And like I said, it's well poised to get defense contracts.
Hmm.
So that is really the thing to look at. It has like it's got its revenue generating game in. The rest is just how well can the company run internally.
Hmm.
And that is not something that we are privy to. So I was interested in it because I was like, hey, it can get defense contracts in this political climate.
Right. Yeah.
So that's it. Okay, this has gone on. My God, it's 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop now.
Thank you so much, Jaya. You have
Yeah,
been
thank you
really
so much,
patient.
Jaya.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you.
It's very informative. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
you too.
Yeah, bye bye.
Bye.